Unvaccinated teachers and school staff in South Australia, as well as public transport workers and taxi and rideshare drivers, will be able to return to work tomorrow. Key points. South Australia has recorded its second highest number of new COVID-19 cases. South Australia has recorded its second highest number of new COVID-19 cases. The vaccine mandate for teachers will be dropped. The vaccine mandate for teachers will be dropped. Unvaccinated school workers not be able to work in all areas. Vaccine mandates on workers in the school and passenger transport sectors were lifted at midnight, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens announced. Both sectors have faced workforce pressures amid escalating COVID-19 cases in South Australia. The state recorded 2 deaths of people with COVID-19 and 5,496 new cases, the second highest daily total on record. Those who were a man aged in 70s and woman in her 80s. A total of 180 people with the virus are in hospital, including 8 in intensive care and 1 on a ventilator. Daily case numbers are expected to continue to rise throughout the first half of April. The numbers we do expect to continue to rise, and we are working very closely with, and I'm working closely with, our healthcare system to make sure we both have in-hospital care, but also out-of-hospital care for everybody that requires it, Chief Public Health Officer Nicola Spurrier said. New rules for public school teachers. Unvaccinated workers in public schools will to wear masks at all times indoors and use a rapid antigen test every day. They will not be able to work in remote Aboriginal schools, in special schools or one-on-one with vulnerable students. The mandates were put in place last year under the Commissioner's powers through the Emergency Management Act. New Premier Peter Malinauskas is planning to revoke the state of emergency by the middle of the year. Mr. Stevens said the mandate had been useful despite being revoked about 4 months after it was implemented. The mandate under the Emergency Management Act was put in place so we could implement quick and effective changes that saw staff in critical sectors vaccinated as quickly as possible and getting those vaccination levels up to a high standard, he said. That has been achieved. Very few public school staff unvaccinated. With only about 200 staff out of 31,000 unvaccinated, Department for Education Chief Executive Rick Pearce said dropping the mandate was not about resolving a staff shortage caused by the number of teachers having to isolate with COVID-19 or close contacts. It's not a motivating factor on this. This is something we've been working on with the Commissioner for months, Mr. Pearce said. Obviously, these directions cease to be valid when the emergency declaration ends at some point in the future, so we wanted to be in front of that. Department for Education Chief Executive Rick Pearce says very few staff are unvaccinated. However, Professor Spurrier hinted that there was a connection. Education is a universal right for every child, and so we need to make sure that we maintain staff so that every child has that opportunity to learn, she said. The mandate will also no longer to private school staff. A similar mandate for police was dropped earlier this month, with officers also required to undergo regular testing and wear masks where others do not have to. Maritime workers boarding international vessels in South Australia will also no longer have to be vaccinated. A Supreme Court challenge opposing vaccine mandates, including in healthcare, starts next week. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch 15 minutes 2 seconds 15 M. Will winter bring a COVID-19 onslaught?